Hello and welcome. I'm Leezá Steindorf, and I'm excited that you're joining us for our live event. During this event, we'll be exploring the genius of non-judgment. That's a subject that actually affects all of us in both our professional and our personal lives. All right, then, let's dive in. So, as I said, tonight we're going to be talking about the genius of non-judgment, which is a subject very dear to my heart. I found it to be pervasive in almost any area. So, the deepest fear we have, the fear beneath all fears, is the fear of not measuring up, the fear of judgment. It's this fear that creates the stress and depression of everyday life. So, I know all of you are well-wishing here with us this evening. I wouldn't expect anything else. However, I'm going to suggest that you have had a number of judgments since the moment that you walked in tonight, or since you've turned on the television. And I'm going to suggest that you think about what those judgments were, whether it's about the space we're in, or about me. And maybe some of you say, I don't have any judgments. No. Well, guess what? So I'm going to ask you to think about what those judgments are. And when you have three, let's just say just the judgments that you have about me. All right? And I'm going to ask you to limit that to three. Limit it to three, okay? So just think of three judgments that you've had about me. Since we started, we have barely even started, right? All right, so when you've got three, I'd like you to just raise your hand so you're not going to have to say them, I promise, but just that I know, and you need to be honest. Here's one, two, we got some honest people going here. Okay, good, that's just about everyone. All right. So each one of you has at least three judgments about me. Now, I'm going to ask you, let's say we have 30 people here. What if I had 3,000 people in front of me? And each person has three judgments about me. It's 9,000 judgments. Now, what would I need to do or think or be to actually arrive and do this, knowing that I haven't even started yet, that there are 9,000 judgments about me? What do you think? What would I need to do or think or be? Let's hear. What are some ideas? Be centered, okay.
Not think about them.
Not think about the judgments or the people?
The judgments.
Okay, the judgments. What else?
Advanced PR.
Do advanced PR, so they won't be there. So the judgments won't be there. Okay, that's a good idea. All right. What else? Yes.
Know what your commitment is.
Know what my commitment is. So to be very clear about why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm here. Okay, and those are all excellent answers. But there's something else, because otherwise I'd be consistently trying to overcome something, right? I'd have to say, okay, well, they're judgments, and now I have to somehow overcome that, and I'd be in a constant struggle, which would be a challenge. There's an easier way, and that's what I want to share with you. The lens that you hold in front of yourself is what creates your experience of the world. It's not the world itself. It's how you're looking at it. All right? So, I want to go over some definitions so that we're all on the same page. Otherwise, we use words in different ways, but for our conversation tonight, I want to have a common form of words. So, let's look at first facts. Facts are observable with our senses. We can measure them, right? The light is on or off. I'm 168 centimeters, or I think that's approximately 5'7", right? So these are things that we can measure. We'll call those facts. And generally, there's common agreement about those. People also argue about the facts, but we're going to just say, for the conversation, people agree upon the facts. And we use the facts as evidence. Evidence for our opinions and our experience. Okay? With me so far? All right. Now let's look at the perception and meanings. So meaning is something that we give to what we've observed, right? So let's say we can say the light is on or off. That's a fact. But I might say, wow, it's really bright. That's my experience of the light. Does that mean the light's bright? No, it just means that's my experience or my perception of the light. All right? A feeling is involved. I may like it or not like it. It evokes something within myself, physically or emotionally. It's not universal. So let's say that I've just arrived here from Alaska, and it's whatever, 65 degrees outside, and I might find that very balmy. I had a friend here visiting from Australia. He found it quite chilly, right? So there's no right or wrong. It's something that feels that way to you. It's not universal. And we reference the facts as evidence. What does that mean? That means if I say the light is bright, or it's too bright for me, I'm referencing the fact that the light is on to somehow support my experience of the light. You with me? Okay. Pretty basic, right? Good so far? Okay, good. All right. So now we're going to talk about an assessment. An assessment is when we describe the fact. It's blue, 25 kilos. We have specific measurements that we use. So the fact described is measurable. And the stated fact can be correct or incorrect, right? So if I say to you, my shirt is red, is that a fact? No. It would be a fact if it were correct, right? But the correct fact is that the shirt is teal, green, whatever. Okay? All right. So that's an assessment. Now we have an experience. Now this is where it gets interesting because we're all human beings, right? And what I find fascinating is that people actually talk about the facts like that's the most important thing in the world, except for the fact that our experience is the most important thing in our lives. But we keep referencing the facts. So tonight we're going to be talking about our experience of the facts, okay? So our experience is the meaning or perception we give to the facts. And it's personal, right? Each one of us are going to have a different experience of that. And the meaning or perception, would that be correct or incorrect?
Well, it's your own personal truth.
It's your own personal truth.
Truth with a small t.
Right? Okay. So we could actually say it's valid, right? So your personal experience is always valid. It can't be wrong because it's your experience, right? So a fact can be correct or incorrect, but your personal experience is always valid. You with me? Who would agree with that? It's unanimous. I like that part. Okay, good. We're on a good track. All right. Now we have wants and desires. This is where it gets juicy, right? And I'm going to go so far as to say that our wants and our desires are actually what drive us. They motivate us. It's what we want in the world that moves us forward. And we come up with all kinds of justifications. Well, you know, I want to get that job because it will, push me farther along my career path, and I'll learn new things, where in actuality I'll be able to buy a new car, and I'll be able to pay my rent, and I'll be able to go on vacation, right? So our wants, our desires, it's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with them, but and they're what motivate us. So our wants and desires are personal and subjective, right? Because what I want is not what you want. We may have common agreements, but there are other areas we'll have different ones. And they're always valid because they're mine, right? They can't be wrong. We good so far? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So now we're going to look at a definition. Summarizing now. So the assessment is a fact or observation that can be correct or incorrect. The experience is your own personal one, and it's the meaning, perception, feeling, and that's always valid. And then we have your wants and desires, and those are also always valid. So here's where we get into difficulties, is when we make our experience and our meaning, perception, feeling, want, correct or incorrect, right or wrong. So we take the experiences, we take our personal perceptions, and we evaluate them according to a measurement that actually only belongs to facts. You with me? That's where we get into trouble, all right? So the discomfort comes from not the judgments that are, if somebody said, a judgment is also, well, gee, that's a really pretty green shirt that you have on. Or, wow, this chocolate cake is really moist and wonderful. Or that music is amazing to move with. Those are not the judgments that we have difficulties with, okay? The judgments that we have difficulties with that cause our discomfort are the ones that are incorrect, wrong, or bad. Now, those are the judgments either we have for ourselves, that we put on ourselves, or that we put on other people. How could she possibly wear a green shirt with sparklies on the wrists on a television show? Like, who does that, right? Or who does a television show in general? right? Dottie behind the camera is waving her hand. Yes, she does definitely do television shows. So the judgments that we have, it's not that they're all difficult for us. And then we can actually judge judgments, right? Like we can go down this spiral, right? So, well, God, that's really bad that I judged him for that. But the one where we get our discomfort is when we are making things wrong, bad, or incorrect, when they're simply valid. And we're going to go into this a little bit more. Can you see why that would be difficult? Give me, what do you think? What would make that difficult? Just right off the top of your head.
Go ahead and say that again.
Yeah, so when you make something wrong or something's incorrect, there's no agreement between two individuals in the conversation. So of course there's going to be an uncomfortable situation.
Okay, but what if a fact can be correct or incorrect and then there's no discomfort?
Correct.
Okay. So why is it difficult then if a judgment comes into it and we make it correct or incorrect? Yeah, go ahead.
I think some people are scared of being judged about their judgment. So it becomes very difficult to say a quote unquote bad or incorrect judgment because you don't want to be judged for that judgment.
Exactly. So we end up perfect. So we end up doing this tiptoeing around, right? We recognize that, there's going to be disagreement. That's already in the room. And now we don't want to be judged for the disagreement. We don't want to stand out or be difficult or be like different other people. So we end up doing all these adjustments for ourselves, which makes it quite difficult, right? And now if you have 9,000 judgments, you're handicapped. I mean, how are you going to move with that?